I'll explain it in a second. So the way this works is I'm going to talk for 24 minutes. Any platform you're on, whatever it is, if you have any health questions, type it in. John, my producer behind the camera, will read me the question at the 24-minute mark. I will then answer your questions. I'll do another 24 minutes, and then we do another round of questions. So please share this with everybody in your list, in your contact list, because this is, as always, very vital information. So whenever you're ready, John, I'm ready to go. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you're with me today. We're going to talk today, the title of the show is Organic Doesn't Always Mean Healthy. Because I have patients all the time come into me and say, you know, Dr. Joe, I eat really well, and I eat a lot of organic food. And they hand me a list of what they eat, and it's junk. And then earlier this week, I was talking to one of my coworkers, and she was saying, I was just talking to my kids about that just because something's labeled organic doesn't mean it's healthy. So don't be duped by advertising terms. Now, when I was a kid, a long time ago, the word organic only meant chemistry. We didn't have organic in food because everything was organic. Now we have to label the good stuff and not label the bad stuff. Should be the other way around as far as I'm concerned. So I don't want you to be duped by false advertising. What did I see the other day? I can't remember what it was now. And anyway, whatever they said in the ad had nothing to do with the product. It was just some psychobabble. So I want to debunk this thing that organic actually means healthy. Labeling doesn't just calling something organic doesn't magically remove the sugar, the sodium. So what I did is I put together a list of all these common foods that I've seen over the 40 years I've been in practice of patients saying, I'm eating good stuff, here's my list, and it's not good stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's start with the big one, sugar. Organic cane sugar. Anybody see that? Well, people say, isn't that better than something like high fructose corn syrup? I'm not going to say it's better. I'm going to say it's not as bad. If I say better, people hear me say, Dr. Joe said organic cane sugar is healthy for me and I should take a bath in it. I mean, I get that all the time. Well, Dr. Joe said, no, I never said that. You heard that. It's not what I said. So organic sugar, even if it's cane sugar, it's linked to obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease. And also, here's something you may not know. For those of you who are vegan out there, sugar oftentimes is not vegan. You think, what do you mean sugar isn't vegan? A lot of times they'll process the sugar to make it white, and they'll use a charcoal made out of animal bones. So they'll make animal bones, they'll charcoalize, if that's a word, the animal bones, and then run the sugar through it to filter out the impurities. So technically, your sugar may not be even vegan. It has animal products in it. It has animal bone in it, too, if you want to go for the gross factor. So organic sugar, not necessarily healthy. Now, what can we do instead? Stevia, monk fruit. If you're going to do honey, make sure it's organic, local honey. And the reason I say that is many countries, even countries we don't trade with, will buy honey from, like a country will buy honey from a country we don't trade with, put it from there, ship it to us from that country that we do trade with, and say it's good. Now, oftentimes in this process, if you're going to scam, why not scam all the way? It's not even honey. It's sugar water. So don't be fooled by that. Organic local honey is really the only honey you should use. You can also use organic maple syrup. We used to call it grade B maple syrup. They don't use that delineation anymore, but organic maple syrup might be a better choice, but it's still a lot of fructose, guys, even if it's honey. Now, one of the worst things you can use for a sweetener, you've heard me talk about high fructose corn syrup, not good, because high fructose corn syrup, let me give you a little perspective as to what this is. White table sugar, little package of white table sugar, 50% fructose, 50% glucose. Glucose is a sugar our cells can use. So anything we put in our body, if we're going to use it, has to be converted into glucose. So if I eat fructose or high fructose corn syrup, it's got to be converted into glucose in the liver. If you eat high fructose corn syrup, one of the waste products of the conversion is uric acid. Uric acid gets in your joints and it hurts. Uric acid in the process creates a waste product in this process, the uric acid, and it lowers our nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide, one of my favorite supplements, one of my favorite components of the body, because nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels, increases circulation to your heart, your brain, your sex organs, your liver, your spleen, lowers blood pressure, gives you energy, better thought process, helps the kidneys work more efficiently. So nitric oxide, we produce it naturally when we're young, and as we get older, our nitric oxide level production drops. So I take Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support every day because it helps my body function more normally. And it raises my energy level, lowers my blood pressure, increases circulation. So it's great. So if I'm eating a lot of high fructose corn syrup, I'm lowering my natural production of nitric oxide, and it can raise my blood pressure. And in fact, I did a show a long time ago on this, that high fructose corn syrup and sugar is just as bad as salt. In fact, worse than salt in many cases when it comes to blood pressure. So organic cane sugar, regular processed white sugar, not a good idea. White table sugar, 55% fructose, 45% glucose. Agave nectar. I remember when it first came out years ago. And I remember going to a place called Life Grocery. It was a health food store in Marietta, Georgia. And I got some agave nectar and I used it. And I thought, my God, this is the greatest thing that ever happened. It doesn't spike my blood sugar. Because it's about 85% fructose, high fructose corn syrup. Has to be converted. It wasn't high fructose corn syrup, it's high in fructose. Converts into glucose. Doesn't spike my blood sugar right away, but over time, in the conversion process, it can have an effect. So high fructose corn syrup, bad. Agave nectar, much worse. Don't be fooled by marketing. Organic agave nectar, right? Oh, it must be good. Agave nectar comes from a plant. It's fine. It's not. That's why you listen to the show. You learn about what's really happening in the health food world. So what can we use instead of sugar? Stevia, monk fruit. We talked about honey. Those would be okay. Allulose. Allulose isn't nearly as sweet as sugar, so you have to use a lot more of it. Because I bought allulose already, and it said, oh, use cup for cup like regular sugar. It's not nearly as good. Sweet-wise, it's good for you. So what you can do is use allulose and then some stevia as well. That's fine if you want to do it that way. So don't be fooled by organic cane sugar. Another one I see a lot of is organic breakfast cereals. So it's organic. Kids like breakfast cereal. It's a better choice. Well, it's not as bad a choice. I'm not saying it's better because that's what you're going to hear. Organic breakfast cereal is still considered ultra-processed food. There's so many things that go into this, so many steps of processing, breaking down the nutrients, grinding up the fiber, and it's very high in what we call a glycemic index. It's going to spike your blood sugar. So better choice, if you're going to have a breakfast cereal, will be steel-cut organic oats. Now, there's a challenge with steel-cut organic oats. It takes a while to cook them. Take 20 minutes or so, boiling it with water. But it's a way, way, way better choice because the steel-cut organic oats, the fiber is still intact and somewhat, and it's going to slowly push the food through your colon, give you a slow release of sugar, and it has good fibers in it as well. And it has soluble and insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber actually wraps around toxic chemicals, waste products, cholesterol, and flushes it out of the system. And the non-soluble fiber is just bulk in your colon. So that's good. So steel-cut organic oats. I'm saying organic because in the United States, one of these crazy things we do to our food supply is many times we'll spray glyphosate on the oats. Glyphosate is a weed killer. It's been linked to many things, even cancer. And so we spray it on oats to kill the oats so it's easier to harvest. So if you're going to do oats, steel-cut organic is the best choice. Now, if you're going to do rolled oats, organic at least, but rolled oats is going to spike your blood sugar again. Not a great food, but still better than a processed breakfast cereal, even though it says organic. If you're just tuning in, folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about the word organic, and it doesn't always mean healthy. It's used as a marketing tool sometimes. And the same thing goes with organic cookies. Well, yeah, it's organic, but it's still a cookie. It's going to spike your blood sugar. It's loaded with sugar. And so it's not a good choice. It's not as bad a choice, I guess I should say. So you like your cookies. I like cookies. I always joke that I can't eat a cookie. I can eat a box of cookies, but I can't eat a cookie. Because once I eat a cookie, even if it's organic, it's going to spike my blood sugar. It's going to go up to my brain. It's going to release dopamine. Dopamine gives me pleasure, and I want more. Now, if you're like me, and you have a little bit of bread or a little bit of cookie or a little bit of cake, you want more. Because you're getting this release of dopamine. You're getting so much pleasure from that sugar, logic goes out the window. And especially if you eat sugar when you're hungry. Because when you're hungry, you really make bad choices. Then the sugars make you make worse choices, so that's why you want to eat more. So please don't fall for that trap. Now, you can do cookies. You can things like almond flour cookies sweetened with date sugar. Not nearly as sweet, but that's a good thing because you can take it, enjoy it. And here's what's going to happen, just so you know. When you start changing your diet and cutting out things like sugar, your taste buds change. And when you try to do something like regular soda, let's say cola, for example, it's going to be sickeningly sweet. That's why I recommend people switch to stevia soda. And when they do, the first couple of times, they go, well, it's not as sweet as my soda. I don't like it as much. After a couple of days, you can't go back to the other soda because it's so high in essentially high fructose corn syrup, commercial sugars. So I would say stay away from that if you can. So once again, we're trying to teach you the word organic doesn't always mean healthy just because it has the word organic on it. I've seen this already, organic potato chips. And the new trend now is cooked in avocado oil. I'm happy that the awareness is there, that people are going to avocado oil because it has a higher smoke point. It doesn't cause as many free radicals as, let's say, canola oil, peanut oil. But it's still not good. You're taking a potato chip, you're frying it. When you fry it, you create something called acrylamides. And acrylamides are linked to cancer. It's still an oil, high concentration of oil, and the potato is basically sugar. So you're frying sugar in an oil that may not be quite slightly better than the regular commercial oils. It's really not a good choice. And the oils are linked to things like type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome. And I talked about this many times, and if you're new to the show, I guess I'll cover it again for you. Oils, bad oils, heated oils, are actually one of the causes of diabetes. So what happens is you eat sugar, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin goes out to the cells and acts like a key. It goes into the cell, opens up the cell like a key, and allows glucose into the cell. If you're eating a lot of these vegetable oils, these heated oils, even though it's avocado oil, a corn, canola, soybean, cottonseed oils, peanuts, these are high in omega-6 fatty acids. And they can essentially clog up the keyhole so the insulin can't get into the cell to open it up. And so now glucose stays in your blood, doesn't go into the cell, raising your sugar levels in your blood. The sugar levels in the blood raise, the body produces more insulin. The cells finally say, enough already. Insulin keeps trying to open me up. I can't let any more sugar in. It's going to gunk up the work, so I'm going to resist that insulin. So if you're a diabetic, you really need to avoid sugar, but more, as importantly, if not more importantly, you need to avoid these processed oils. Peanut, corn, soy, canola, these vegetable oils. I'm begging you, get the oils out of your life. I will pick up a product, and even though it's vegan and gluten-free, I'll look at it. It says canola oil. I won't do it. Just won't do it. Because it's not even the oil. It's when it's processed. It's processed at high heats, and it's damaged, and the damaged oil is what causes the problems. That's why I can eat sunflower seeds, not have a problem. Sunflower seed oil, big problem. So these are just 1,000 little tips I give you all the time to try to get you well and incorporate as many as you can and watch how your life changes. I have never, in my career, had somebody come to me and say, Dr. Joe, I took your advice, I did everything you said, and I wish I hadn't. I regret doing it. Because these are things that, it's just common sense is a lot of it. This is what the research shows. Put common sense into your life. Sometimes it's not as convenient. I did a nutrition consultation this week with a gal, and she has something called POTS, which means she gets tired. She gets dizzy when she stands up. She's very overweight. She's tired all the time. She can only work a couple of hours a day until she crashes. And so I said, write down everything you eat. I eat a really good diet. Okay, write down everything you eat. So she comes in, so many processed oils, so many sugars, no raw food. Everything in her diet for a whole week except for mangoes was essentially ultra-processed food. And her excuse was, I'm busy. And I'm tired all the time, so I don't have time to do food prep. I get that. But you can't eat this junk food. You can't eat bacon and cheeseburger sandwiches and say, I'm going to feel good about that. Well, I know that wasn't the best choice, but there's no but. Skip a meal then. And what will happen is once you become metabolically flexible, or metabolic flexibility, you're able to skip a meal and not pass out. You're able to eat a big meal and not have a big issue because you have to be metabolically flexible, and she's not. She's eating nothing but junk food. No wonder she's got problems. Now, if she does what I say, which I hope she does, she's going to think I'm the smartest guy in the world. I've been to all these other doctors. They gave me medication. It didn't work. I came to you. You're the smartest guy in the world. And what did I tell her? I told her not to do something. I didn't tell her to do anything. I told her about supplements too, but I told her not to do the bad food anymore. So a lot of nutrition advice I give you, a lot of health advice I give you is passive. You don't have to do anything. You have to not do something. I can't make that any easier for you. So stay away from those bad oils. There are no such thing as healthy potato chips. Bottom line. Now, you could do something like kale chips if you want to. Now, kale chips aren't as good as potato chips. I'm not going to lie to you. But I like kale chips. They're good. They're expensive. You can make your own. I make my own all the time. I'll get some organic kale, take the stems off it. I'll mix it with some extra virgin organic coconut oil or olive oil. Massage it. You kind of got to break up the fibers in the kale. Salt and pepper. Put it in the oven. Get it crispy. So that's an option too. Another thing I've heard, organic fruit juice. And this drives me crazy because when I watch kids sucking down container after container of fruit juice, at least it's organic, but it's essentially sugar. Raises your metabolic risk, raises your liver, fatty liver risk, diabetes risk. So fruit juice, not a fan of. Fruit, I'm a big fan of. Because fruit has fibers and polyphenols and other nutrients to offset the damage from the fructose in the fruit. If you're drinking just fruit juice, you're basically drinking sugar water. So not a good idea. So what would be better choices? Well, the whole fruit is a good choice. Water is a good choice. Stevia sweetened. If you have to sweeten it with something, you can sweeten it with stevia. A green smoothie is really going to be your best choice. So if you take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source and make a smoothie out of it, that's your ultimate drink right there. Super Green Essential Source, I add 10 drops of vitamin D3 with K2 to it. In fact, I was talking to somebody recently, one of my patients, and she has some challenging health issues. And she said, I've tried everything out there, never seen a big difference. I started taking Dr. Joe's D3 with K2. My psoriasis got better. I was able to absorb it. I didn't get sick from it. So quality is everything. My grandfather always said, always buy the best. It's always cheaper. So that's why quality is everything. If you take a supplement, I don't care how cheap it is, if it doesn't work, you wasted your money. It may cause actually damage to the body. Like vitamin D2 can actually block up your receptor sites from absorbing vitamin D3. That's why I recommend vitamin D3. So if you have any health questions, I'm kind of rambling here for a second. If you have any health questions, you can send it to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. It says, ask a question. I will answer your questions personally. I'm happy to answer your questions for you. Now, if you have a health issue, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, sciatica, make an appointment to come see us. When you come see us, there's 3 things I want to fix on you. I want to get the nervous system working properly, the digestive system working properly, and I want to get your diet straightened out. That's the core of good health. You can't obtain and maintain optimum health if you have challenges with the nervous system, digestive system, and diet. You can't. It just doesn't work. You might get a little better. We're talking about extreme health. Second book I ever wrote. It's called Prescription for Extreme Health. I want to get to the cause of your healthcare problems and not just treat the symptoms. So if you have a health issue, neck pain, back pain, car accidents, sports injuries, stop suffering needlessly. Stop getting to run around from doctor to doctor. Go to my website, drjoe.com, make an appointment. Normally the first visit is over $940. We've reduced that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment. On the second visit, going over the x-rays and a complete nutrition evaluation. Then if we want to continue care, my staff will come in, talk to you about a continuation of care. We accept almost all insurances, like I said, car accidents, sports injuries. We're even on the VA referral list. So we approach health differently. I'm not against surgery. I'm not against drugs. Let's incorporate this with the protocol that you're using, and let's try to get you as well as we possibly can. That's why most people come to see us. So go to my website, drjoe.com. Send me questions and make an appointment. That's going to be the best thing you can do. Everyone says, I hear it every day, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I suffer for so long? And my answer is, I don't know. You have me right here. Been here for 40 years. drjoe.com. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. So we're talking today about organic doesn't always mean healthy. Processed meat. This is big red flags. Organic bacon, organic beef jerky. Again, better than something that's full of steroids, chemicals, hormones, antibiotics, and genetically modified food. But organic, many times high sodium, nitrates, saturated fat, which is linked to colorectal cancer, higher mortality and morbidity rates. Mortality is dying, morbidity is disease, in case you don't know the difference of the two. So what alternatives do I have if I want to have bacon, if I want to have sausage? Well, we have plant-based sausages. They're really not a health food, though. They have plant-based burgers. They're better than the meat, but they're still ultra-processed. They're still loaded with sodium, so it may not be the best choice. Now, there's tempeh bacon. There's mushrooms you can do things with. I'm caught in a trap, as Elvis Presley once said. I'm caught in a trap on this one because I'd rather see you eat the plant-based ones than the meat ones, but that doesn't mean it's a health food. So I want to start you transitioning you into everything you eat being healthy for you. Am I going to reach that goal? Probably not. But the closer I get to getting you to everything you eat being a better choice, the better off you're going to be. Then we add things like supplements. Supplements are not a luxury. They're a necessity for ultimate health. The minimum supplements I would recommend you take: Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, Dr. Joe's D3 with K2, and B-complex, methylated B-complex. That's the minimum. So I did this the other day. I went online, and I made believe I was ordering these products, and I got a 30-day supply of each. And I said, how much is this going to cost me if I do Super Green, Essential Source, Vitamin D, and B-complex? About $5 a day. I promise you that you're wasting a lot more money than $5 a day. Now, that's the starter kit. I take omega-3 fatty acids as well. I take men's hormone support. I take adrenal support. I take nitric oxide to open up my blood vessels, keep my blood pressure under check, increase circulation to my heart, my brain, my sex organs. So I take other supplements as well. But if you want to jump in, which I think you should, and get it all done, I'm happy to help you with that. If you want to just do the starter kit, Super Green Essential Source, Vitamin D3 and K2, and B-complex, $5 a day. And I know you're wasting $5 a day, at least on food. Bring your lunch. I bring my lunch every day. I want to know what I'm eating is good. I go out every now and then, but I'd say 95% of the time I bring my own lunch. My lunch probably costs $2, $3. Heck of a lot cheaper than $20, $30 for lunch. We're going out, even $10. So there's so many steps you can take to get well. If you don't know what to eat, send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, and I'll send you a lecture that I did called So What Can I Eat? Happy to send that to you. If you want a copy of today's show notes, I'm not going to cover everything. I'm not even close. You can send me an email and just say, what are we going to call this one? Organic Food Guide. And I'll send you an organic food guide. Absolutely free. My gift to you. I'm happy to share that with you because I know this stuff. I want you to know it too. Just start incorporating everything you need. All the supplements are on the website as well, drjoe.com. So, organic chocolate bars. I've seen this one before. Still loaded with sugar and saturated fat. We call it UPFs, ultra-processed foods. So if you're going to do organic, if you're going to do chocolate, it has to be 85% or higher of cacao and dark chocolate, no milk chocolate. Okay? All right, I'm looking at the clock. I got to take a break. If you have any health questions, send it to me through my website, drjoe.com. Follow me on social media, Dr. Joe Esposito, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. We post twice a day health tips, absolutely free. Podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It, 2 podcasts a week, absolutely free. If you're a visual person, YouTube channel, Dr. Joe Esposito. You get to see my pretty face, absolutely free. I do this because I really want to be your doctor. I want to help get to the cause of your problems, not just treat the symptoms. The supplements are on the website, drjoe.com, in the supplement section. Store section, Any questions you have, send it to me. If I have an answer, I'll share it with you. Let's get to the cause of your healthcare problems and stop, not just treat the symptoms. I'm okay treating the symptoms, but let's get to the cause as well. It's a new way to look at healthcare. drjoe.com. Folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right. You got a question?
Would you consider developing a nutritional protocol for pets?
I have. It's funny you say that. One of my lawyer friends, she's been yelling at me for years. Where's your pet protocol? I haven't done it yet. I probably will at some point. But yeah, so it's. I'm gonna say it's on my B list of things to do. What else?
Should sweet potato fries also be avoided since they are deep fried like regular fries?
Yes, absolutely. Now, if you want to make sweet potato fries, you can spray them with coconut oil and then bake them, because the oil isn't going to get to that high heat smoke point. So a coconut oil would probably be your best choice for that. Maybe extra virgin organic olive oil, but I'm going to go with coconut oil, and you can make your own that way then. So that would be a better choice. What else?
How do I reverse diabetes?
Send me an email through the website, drjoe.com. I'm going to do you a favor. I've put together training classes on diabetes, smoking, high blood pressure, and obesity. And it's a training class I use for corporations when they have employees that they want to help get well. And it comes with a bunch of supplements. And I sell the package, one training class, for about $1,000. I will give you the training class for free if you send me an email. Just say you want the diabetes training class. It doesn't include the supplements, just so you're clear on that. But we'll talk about the supplements. If you want to get the supplements, you can always get them later, on your own. But I'll send that to you for free. Now, can I guarantee it's going to reverse diabetes? No, I can't. But I can tell you this is what the research shows, and it's really good. So, what else you got, John?
I've been using Super Greens and Essential Source for years. Is it okay to continue them if you have kidney problems?
You should use Super Greens and Essential Source every day of your life as long as you're above ground, and then probably a week after that. So you may, yes, absolutely take it every day. If you have kidney problems, send me an email through the website. I will send you a show that I did on kidneys, and it's going to blow your mind. So, drjoe.com. What else?
Is cherry pie made with stevia okay?
Sure. I mean, you got to be careful with the crust. But if you do cherry pie, I'd be okay with it. Organic cherries would be your best choice. Cornstarch, not my favorite thing in the world. But if you have to have a cherry pie, sweeten it with stevia and or allulose, you're going to be a much better choice. So I like cherry pie, by the way. If you make a vegan one, I'll try it for you. What else you got?
Should tofu be eaten generously or in moderation?
Generously. Absolutely. There's no problem with tofu. This whole thing with phytoestrogens and man boobs, that is such a lie. Because tofu has phytoestrogens, and they activate the beta receptor sites for estrogen receptor sites. The cancer ones are the alpha receptor sites. Again, it's a little in-depth physiology there. But the beta receptor sites, when they're stimulated, can actually block some of the alpha receptor sites and lower your risk of cancer. So if you're going to do tofu, make sure it's organic. This is a real organic food. Because a lot of it's genetically modified, but you can eat tofu every day. I'm perfectly fine with that. There's a lot of physiology in there. What else you got?
Do you trust restaurant-made hot sauces when you eat out?
Hot sauces aren't bad. I mean, there's not a whole lot they can do wrong with it, really. It's usually vinegar and peppers. That's pretty much it. So I'm not worried about that. If that's your biggest concern, you've reached nirvana of healthcare. There's a lot of other bigger concerns to deal with, so I'm fine with them. What else you got?
That is all.
All right, great. Ready for part 2. Audience, any questions? Got a huge audience here today. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean you're huge. No. I'm somehow in trouble for that. I'm not sure how, but I'm in trouble for that. So, all right, ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. If you stayed with me, welcome. If you just joined me, I'm glad. Welcome too. Glad you're with me. So we're talking today about organic doesn't always mean healthy. And I've had this issue with patients on a regular basis now for years. I had one of my coworkers tell me that she was talking to her kids about this the other day, that organic doesn't mean healthy, and just because it's advertised as healthy. And a lot of times it's marketing. You know, you see a picture of a cow out in a field eating grass on butter or something like that, and the sun is rising and the rooster's on the fence crowing. That cow is stuck in a farm. It's basically called. It's a factory farm. That cow probably has never seen direct sunlight. Is fed genetically modified corn and soy. The omega-6 fatty acid levels are off the chart. Their cortisol levels are off the chart. So don't be fooled by marketing. Just find trusted sources like myself and go with that. So we're going to just continue on with other things that are organic that aren't necessarily healthy for you. How about white bread and bagels? Ultra-processed refined carbohydrates. It's like eating sugar. So what would be alternatives to bread? I get this one a lot. Sprouted bread. A brand name is Ezekiel, but sprouted bread, better choice. It's not going to spike your blood sugar like the regular bread. If you can do a sprouted sourdough bread, that's your best choice. Because the sourdough is fermented as bacteria helps break down some of the proteins in it as well. Now, does it taste as good as white bread? No, it doesn't. I'm not going to lie to you. But it's a good alternative. And that's what I try to do. If you're going to do breads, I recommend gluten-free. And a sprouted bread may have gluten in it, but when they sprout the wheat, it breaks down to gluten, gliadin, and glutenin, and so it makes it more digestible as well. So if you have trouble with wheat like I do, like most people do, a sprouted is going to be a better choice. And if you have to do something like a pasta, it's still like sugar, but it's not going to spike your blood sugar as much. You can do gluten-free. Organic gluten-free would be a better choice. All right, sugar loads and ultra-processed treats. How about organic pastries, frozen desserts, caramel corn, puddings, ice cream? It says organic. Must be good. It's not. Still high sugar, ultra-processed snacks. The ultra-processed foods are tied to metabolic disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, a cognitive failure, brain not working like it used to, speeding up the aging process, sexual dysfunction. So you got to ask yourself a simple question. If I'm going to eat something, is it worth it? And the sad part is this. You're listening to this show, so you can't claim ignorance anymore. Well, I didn't know that, Dr. Joe. Now you do. Ha ha, caught you. So you have to look at a food and say, is it worth it? And if it's worth it, then you should eat it. But ultra-processed foods are never worth it. People ask me, why don't you eat animal products? 40 years ago, way before the research, ultra-processed food wasn't even a word. I sat down objectively, and I said, okay, where do I get my nutrients from? I have a bunch of degrees, and several of them in nutrition. So what's the best, highest concentration of nutrients with the lowest amount of risk? Came plant-based. Everywhere I turned around, plant-based, plant-based, plant-based. And I went, it's really hard to argue with myself over this. And so that was 40 years ago. So if you're going to eat animal products, and I said to one of my secretaries the other day, I said, if I only hung out with plant-based people, I'd have no friends. So it's okay if you're going to eat the animal products, just make better choices. Here is where the word organic actually does come into play. Organic animal products are not nearly as toxic as non-organic animal products. So if you're going to eat animal products, I recommend organic only. So these ultra-processed desserts and cookies and cakes and pies and everything, what would be alternatives? I like ice cream. I don't know anybody who doesn't like ice cream, actually. So I was at one of my favorite Thai restaurants, a place called Thai House, and they had coconut ice cream. Now, it did have sugar in it, but it was a small amount. And the owner, who knows me, he says, Dr. Joe, you got to try this. So I did. And I had a high-fiber food. I had a plant-based meal before, so the sugar was going to be offset by the fiber. And it was delicious. So I said, how do I make my own? Now, I have an ice cream maker at home. Never used it. Bought it at an estate sale. I love estate sales, by the way. And I broke out my ice cream maker, and all it was a sweetener. I used allulose, and I used coconut milk, and I used a little bit of stevia in there, and I put it in my ice cream maker. And it was spectacular. It was great. So there are alternatives that you can do. Another thing you do is frozen bananas. I'll take frozen bananas and just take a little coconut milk or almond milk and put it in a food processor. And if you want to firm it up, put it back in the freezer after that. You can do chia seed pudding. You can do chia seeds and like coconut milk or almond milk or oat milk. Let it sit overnight. You got chia seed pudding. If you're going to do popcorn, make sure it's organic because corn is oftentimes genetically modified. Air pop it or use coconut oil, extra virgin organic coconut oil. And then you don't even add butter or anything to that. Sprinkle on a little air-dried sea salt, Celtic salt, Baja Gold. You want to make it sweet, you can put cinnamon on it if you want to. Cinnamon and stevia or things like that. That's a nice, quick, easy, inexpensive, high-fiber, low glycemic index snack. And really cheap. So there's plenty of alternatives you can do. And if you go to my website, drjoe.com, the first book I ever wrote was called Eating Right for the Health of It. And the reason I wrote it, people would come to me all the time and say, Dr. Joe, what do you eat? This is probably 30 years ago. So I give them a recipe. Here's a recipe for, I don't know, whatever it was. And over time, I had this big stack of recipes. And somebody said, why don't you write a book? And I said, okay. And I remember I was in Rome, Italy, and I was walking around Rome, and I met some lady on a cruise, her and her husband, and she wrote children's books. And I said, I wrote this book. I don't know what to name it. And she said, what's it about? I said, it's about eating right, just telling people how to eat right. And she said, well, why did you write it? I said, I really just wrote it for the hell of it. She said, there's your title. So I named it Dr. Joe Eating Right for the Health of It. Changed the title a little bit. But it's basically recipes. And I have tons of desserts in there, raw food desserts. I got an apple pie, a raw food apple pie, not the traditional apple pie like you're thinking. In fact, a recipe here in Atlanta, they actually used my recipe. Restaurant did, I'm sorry. A restaurant used my recipe here in Atlanta for a long time. They used my raw apple pie recipe. So is it nearly as good as a double fudge German chocolate cake? It's not, taste-wise. I'm not going to lie to you. But when you start eating healthy and you start seeing the changes, you realize it's not worth it. And that's what I want you to get to in your life. It's not worth it. Is it worth being tired? Is it worth having digestive issues? Is it worth having sexual dysfunction? If the answer is yes, then eat it. It's fine. But most people don't. So that goes along. We talked about popcorn. I don't ever recommend microwave popcorn. I don't recommend microwave for anything except maybe heat up a towel. That's about the only reason I would use a microwave. So air popcorn, much better than even organic microwave, because in the microwave popcorn, they line the inside of the container with a nonstick coating, bisphenol A usually. Well, these BPAs, these endocrine disrupting chemicals, prevent it from sticking to the container. Well, guess what? They're hormone disruptors. They mess with your hormones. So that's why I'd recommend air-popped popcorn. If you're going to do coconut oil, that's probably a better choice. And then just season it yourself. Quick, easy, cheap, convenient. No reason not to do it. I told this story a while ago. Years ago, I took a drive with a group of friends, group of singles, and we left from Atlanta, went to Savannah for St. Patty's Day. And it's about a 5-hour ride from Atlanta to Savannah, Georgia. And we were on a bus, and we're all talking, and somebody had these veggie chips. And this is way before I was as enlightened as I am now. And I said, ooh, these look good. And I ate a whole bag of them. They were really good. Looking back now, I was duped. There was maybe a little bit of spinach in there, maybe a little bit of carrot. It was essentially just powdered potatoes, hydrogenated oils that are toxic to my liver, toxic to my pancreas, toxic to my brain. And just because it said veggie chips on it, I thought, ooh, this must be good. It's not. So don't fall for that junk there. A lot of people drink coffee. How many people drink coffee? A lot of you do, right? So if you're going to do coffee, I'm going to recommend, on this case, organic only. Of course, organic is a better choice when it comes to coffee because coffee is sprayed with a lot of chemicals, pesticides, and antifungal agents. Because coffee is stored in humid areas, humid climates, and fungus grows. So we spray it with an antifungal. So of all the foods you're going to eat, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, whatever it is, the one that's ranked among the highest and sometimes the highest in chemicals is going to be coffee. So here's what I want you to do. If you're going to do coffee, organic only. Organic decaf, better choice yet. So that's a simple rule. If it's not organic, don't drink it. Now, you can buy organic coffee in a grocery store. You're probably not going to get it. You might get it in a fancy coffee shop, but some of the main chain coffee shops may not have it. So don't drink it then. You need energy? Why are you tired is the question. So what I do for energy, because people ask me all the time, I'm not young anymore, where'd you get your energy from? Why do you look so young? Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support opens up my blood vessels. We have a new supplement now. It's called Dr. Joe's Energy Chewables. And it's citrulline, which converts into nitric oxide, and ginseng in a chewable. Tastes like candy. Sweetened with stevia, so it's okay. And those are just amazing. I take them every day. Now, the supplements, the nitric oxide supplements, are more medicinal. They're powerful. They'll open up your blood supply, drop your blood pressure, increase circulation. They both give you the rush of energy. But I came out with the chewables because some people say, well, I don't like swallowing pills. I can't put the chewables for you then. You can try the nitric oxide support supplements. You can try the Energy Boost chewables. See if that helps. If you have low blood pressure, don't take them because it's going to drop your blood pressure. and you may go too low. I've had that happen with my staff. My staff, God bless them, whenever I come up with a new idea for a supplement, they're my guinea pigs. And they know it. I tell them. And they're always willing to try it. And they go, wow, I love this supplement. I don't like this. I don't like the way this tastes. And so I modify everything based on my staff because they're like my safe test group. But nitric oxide, I don't know why the whole world doesn't take it. Now, if you have low blood pressure, don't take it. But I have normal blood pressure. I feel great when I take it. Now, I can't take it too late at night because it may keep me awake because it gives you so much energy. Now, don't take it one day and expect to say, well, I'm not healed yet. You may have to build up levels in your blood. When I put together a nutrition protocol, chiropractic protocol, diet protocol, I tell people this, give me 60 days. You got to do this to change your lifestyle. Literally changes your DNA. Give me 60 days. Let's see how we do. So all the supplements I recommend. Now, all the supplements except one I recommend you take forever because your body's changing. You're going to use up your nutrients. You need new ones. The only one I don't recommend you take every day forever is Dr. Joe's intestinal formula because it's designed to get the bowels moving, and it works really well. But my goal is this. I mean, you could take it forever if you don't get to the cause of the constipation. I always want to get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms. So when people start taking it, I said, let's check the nerve supply to your bowels. Let's see if your stomach is pushed up against your diaphragm. Let's see if the ileocecal valve is stuck closed. Let's find out why you're not working properly. And one of the big things I see now is people taking these weight loss drugs, these GLP-1 agonists. And one of the things it does, it slows down your motility of your colon. So the colon doesn't move things along like it used to, and you're not eating as much food. So you don't have as much waste product coming out. But that becomes a problem. Because I've had people, several, get on the medication. When they come off it, the bowels don't restart again. And now we've got to get them on Dr. Joe's intestinal formula. We've got to get them on colon massage. We've got to stimulate the bowels, check the nerve supply to the bowels to get the bowels working again. But a lot of people don't know that there's something that can be done. And so then they just say, I'm going to take a laxative for the rest of my life. Well, that causes problems too because you're not absorbing nutrients properly and passing out waste products properly. So there's a pro and a con. I did a whole show on GLP-1s, as a matter of fact. It should be on my website, drjoe.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage. We have Dr. Joe Show, which is a live show that I do, and then the podcast underneath it too. And you could scroll through them and see what you like. And if you have any questions about anything, send it to me through my website, drjoe.com. I'm happy to answer your questions for you. But the best thing you can do, what's the number one thing you can do right now? Make an appointment to come see us. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Normally, the first visit is around $940. I've reduced that for you, my listeners, to $299. That's, exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on a follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. It does not include any further care after that. I had a patient come in the other day. He said, I thought all the care was free. I don't know where that came from. We accept almost all insurances. We'll put together a treatment plan for you, nutritionally, chiropractically, stomach work, whatever it is, dietary protocols, and then let's see what we can do for 60 days. I'd love to be your doctor. I'd love that opportunity. So drjoe.com, drjoe.com. And if you're listening to this toward the end of the year, if you have HSA or FSA funds, use them. Many of them expire at the new year, and it's going to be wasted if you don't use them. And most of them accept care in our office and supplements. Isn't that nice? If you have insurance, you're going to have new deductibles, new copays coming up in the beginning of the year. Use your insurance. That's why you have it. Come see us, make an appointment, drjoe.com. We accept almost every insurance out there. And if you're ever in a car accident, if the car is damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way. I've treated thousands and thousands and thousands of car accidents. If the car's damaged, you're damaged. You need to get it fixed. Not treat the symptoms, fix the damage that was done. And don't fall for these scammers who call you up and say, hey, go see this doctor, go see this lawyer. I had a patient the other day. She said she got in an accident, and she came to see us, and she said, well, I started care with another doctor because the hospital said I should go see this doctor and this lawyer. The person at the hospital committed a felony. They can refer you to a doctor, but if they're referring you to a doctor and a lawyer, That means they're getting paid by these doctors and lawyers. It's illegal. It's a felony. And I've never seen anyone go to these doctors or lawyers and get the care that they need. So even if you're not in my area, send me an email through the website. I'll find you a doctor or lawyer that I can trust. drjoe.com. Great source of information, too. And the supplements are on the website, too, drjoe.com. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking today about organic foods aren't always healthy. Now, we talked about coffee. Coffee creamers fall into that as well. Hidden sugars, emulsifiers, ultra-processed foods, unsweetened nut or oat milk with cinnamon. There's your coffee creamer right there. Much better choice. Coconut milk works, too. But cinnamon is great because cinnamon helps stabilize your blood sugar. And what do we keep talking about? Stabilizing that blood sugar, not having that spike, insulin resistance. Cinnamon is great for stabilizing blood sugar. Fiber is good for stabilizing blood sugar. And we have a supplement on our website, drjoe.com. It's called Glucose Control, I think it is, and it stabilizes blood sugar. It's berberine. Vinegar stabilizes blood sugar. So there's so many things that can help stabilize blood sugar. Why wouldn't you do them? And not eating the sugar, of course, is a big one, too. And so another way that we're talking about organic, we talked about agave nectar. Coconut sugar is another one. People say, well, coconut sugar, well, that's not regular sugar. It comes from a coconut. High fructose content affects the liver and metabolism. Once again, what's our alternatives? Stevia, monk fruit, cinnamon, even mashed bananas. You can make cookies if you want to use mashed bananas instead of sugar. It's not going to be nearly as sweet, but that's okay because you're so overdosed on sugar, hyper-palatable foods, we call them. So people get so excited about these hyper-palatable foods that when you eat it, the other stuff doesn't taste as good. You have to reset your body to find out what food really tastes like anymore. That's a big issue. Kombucha, yogurt. These are other ones too. I'll tell you a story. I used to date a gal, and she had a bit of a drinking problem. And we talked, and I said, it's really affecting this relationship. I don't think I want to continue this relationship because I don't see a future with you having a drinking issue. And she maybe drank 2 or 3 glasses of wine a night. She wasn't getting fall down drunk, but it was every night. So she said, I will do whatever it takes to make this relationship work. I said, okay, let's make this thing work. So she switched to kombucha. Kombucha is fermented. It has alcohol in it. Now, I'll tell you a little story. Several years ago, kombucha was taken off all the shelves in the country because there's an actress, Lindsay Lohan, you may have heard that name, and she got arrested one time for drinking, and she went to the judge, says, I wasn't drinking alcohol, I was drinking kombucha. And she got drunk on it. And the judge said, wait a minute, kombucha has alcohol in it, and pulled all the kombucha off the shelves across the country. And now, if it's pasteurized, it takes out some of the alcohol, but it kills the good bacteria. Kombucha is a drink, by the way. If it's not pasteurized, you have to show your ID to buy it, but then it's alcohol. So anyway, that didn't work out because she couldn't stop the drinking. But the flavored yogurts, not a good thing either because of the sugar, even if it's organic. So unflavored plant-based yogurt, if you're going to do yogurt. Coconut yogurt is one of my favorites. You have almond yogurt. Those are okay. When you start adding sugar, now you could add stevia to it or monk fruit if you want to after you buy it. That's great. But if it's pre-sweetened, it's not something you want to do, even if it's organic. So the bottom line, even with organic, the badge that it has, sodium, ultra-processed foods, the science is very clear. Eat whole foods, fresh foods, stay away from the ultra-processed foods. Sugar affects metabolism. There's no secret about that. Ultra-processed foods are linked to chronic diseases. There's no secret about that. Processed meat and cancer mortality, dementia, heart failure, it's all the same. So just don't do it, okay? I got a lot more to cover here. I'm not going to have time. If you have any questions, send it to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. I'm happy to answer your questions for you. All of us have health questions. I have health questions every day. I have to go out and research. I go to places like a PubMed, which is it's double-blind studies that have been peer-reviewed. And you can go to PubMed and look up what you're looking for, and it's a great source of information. Reach out to me. I've done the research. I've researched this for 40 years. But the best thing you can do is make an appointment to come see us. Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. drjoe.com. You can book your appointment right there. Pick your time. You can book it right online or call us. We accept almost all insurances, car accidents, sports injuries, workers' comp. Workers' comp, this is an interesting story. I met with a workers' comp group a while ago, and I said, I have research. I have about 150 different double-blind study research studies that show that you can reduce workers' comp fees and your health costs by about 40 to 60%, some cases 70 to 80%. And you get better results, and people get back to work faster. They said, go on, we're listening. So I put together this whole proposal, and hopefully this year, next coming months, we're going to launch this program. Because so many people are getting unnecessary care, not getting back to work fast enough, and not always. Sometimes you need surgery, sometimes you need drugs, sometimes you need pain management. But for your health care, as well as workers' comp, I mean, a study was done on workers' comp, what if we can reduce your cost by 40 to 60% or more? What if we can get you back to work faster? What if you had less downtime? What if you had better results with less long-term damage? I want to be your doctor. Can't help everybody. But if you have a problem that we think we can help, I would love to sit down with you and discuss your specific health needs. All the supplements we talked about, Super Green, Essential Source, Nitric Oxide, B-Complex, Vitamin D, Omega-3 fatty acids, men's hormone support. We have bundles now on weight loss, diabetes. In fact, this is what I'll do. A little gift to you. We have classes that I use for insurance companies on obesity, smoking, high blood pressure, and diabetes. It's an interactive class, and it comes with a bundle of supplements. It's a 60-day protocol. We usually sell them for about $1,000. I'm going to give you the class without the supplements. You get the class, and you can order supplements if you want to, absolutely free. So if you want the class on diabetes, high blood pressure, smoking, or obesity, send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, say diabetes class, obesity class. I will send you the class absolutely free. Again, if you want to get supplements afterwards, great. That's up to you. I don't care. If you have any questions, drjoe.com. Make an appointment to come see us. Let's put together a protocol specifically for you. I want to be your doctor. Follow me on social media. We post twice a day on social media. Free. Podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. 2 podcasts a week. More than that sometimes. Free. If you're a visual person, the YouTube channel, Dr. Joe Esposito. You can see my pretty face. But Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, I will give you this information. I'm at a point in my career where I'm concerned. I'm frightened for your future, and I want to be your doctor. So drjoe.com. Folks, thanks for tuning in. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll catch you next time. All right. I got to modify these notes. So, you have questions?
Are you okay with restaurant-made guac? Do you know if salt or sodium is added?
It is added. It's not your biggest sin. Once again, you got to pick your battles. So I'm okay with that. Yeah, guac is great. Don't eat it with chips, though. You know, I eat it. What I do, if I go to a Mexican restaurant, Better Choices, I'll order the beans, usually the black beans. I always make sure the beans don't have lard in them. And I'll put some guacamole and some salsa. The salsa's loaded with salt, too. And maybe some pico de gallo and some lettuce. And I'll eat that with a spoon. This way I don't get the chips, and I get the whole Mexican experience. Perfectly fine. What else?
Have you considered running for president or chief health advisor to the president?
Funny you'd say that. Several years ago, I was working with somebody who did run for president, Herman Cain. He was a coworker of mine. And Herman would say, Dr. Joe, you are a plethora of medical knowledge. He says, I need to pick your brain. And nicest guy, Herman. Unfortunately, he didn't pick my brain. He passed away. But he had hinted about making me Surgeon General. And it never happened, of course. But not for president, though. I don't know if I want to. I don't know. It's a lot of work. What else you got?
Is there a healthy way to make biscuits?
Unfortunately, no. There's better ways to make biscuits, but I don't know of any healthy ways to make biscuits, no. And I love biscuits, by the way. Loved biscuits, I should say. What else?
What is the definition of an ultra-processed food?
Made with ingredients you wouldn't have in the average kitchen. So you probably wouldn't have high fructose corn syrup in your kitchen. You wouldn't have a lot of the chemicals, the additives, the dyes, the chemicals. So my rule is this on food. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. It's just that simple. So, but that's the loose definition of ultra-processed food. There is no standard definition, But if you couldn't make it in your kitchen, you probably shouldn't eat it. What else?
I'm not crazy about spinach. Can I swap it out with broccoli?
Sure. Why not? Oleta Adams had a song. I think I was 28 years old when a song came out. And the line from the song is, I don't care how you get here, just get here. So if you don't like spinach, eat broccoli. If you don't like broccoli, eat peas. If you don't like peas, eat, I don't know, rapini. Doesn't matter to me. Just get those veggies in your body. And, of course, Super Green's an essential source, which is a good source of fruits and vegetables. What else?
Just a note for some of our listeners, send your detailed health questions directly to drjoe@drjoe.com, drjoe@drjoe.com.
Yeah, if it's a real detailed question, it's not something I answer here. I'll answer it for you personally. So, what else?
That is all.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you very much. Make sure you follow me on social media.